Welcome to Whilton Mill in Northamptonshire for round 6 of the championship where MotoGP riders start their racing career. This is the Fab Racing British Minibikes Championship. Some say never work with children or animals, but Ruby's okay. Aren't you, Ruby? Mini GP 70 is the first class up in this programme. The championship leader joins me. It's Jake Clark, along with his mum Jill and surrogate mum Sandra. We'll explain that in a moment. Jake, just want to talk to you about the championship so far. Been a great season for you. Good win for you at Red Lodge. Obviously very happy with that. Championship's looking good for this season. But I want to talk to you about your plans for next year. What's your plans moving forward now?
There's quite a few options really. We could either go out to Spain, do the Super Teens or the Mawaki Cup, and there's the KTM, the Kawasaki, so we're not quite too sure yet.
And in terms of professional motorsport career in two-wheel motorcycle racing, everybody wants to be in MotoGP obviously, but what do you think your opportunities are going to be to get there, and what's it going to need? You're going to need some sponsorship, I assume, at some point.
Yeah, I think realistically I think I'd just make it to BSB. I don't think I would quite make it to MotoGP.
Well, of course, if you win BSB, you might make it to MotoGP, of course. If you can get to BSB, then that's part of the story, I guess. Now, Mum joins us, Jill, and Cameron Hall's mum, in fact, it's Sandra, isn't it? Now, you become Jake's surrogate mum, Sandra, on the weekend, because, Jill, I understand you can't watch the racing, can you?
It's awful. No, I can't watch. I sort of watch from behind my friends with eyes shut and just have a quick peek, see if he's still on the bike, and then I go back to head down, eyes shut, everything crossed.
So what are you coming along, what do you get out of the weekend then?
It's nice, it's a social thing, and you know, we've got a little community going on. Equally, I'd be even worse if I was at home and not watching, so, but it's just nice, everybody just all comes together, isn't it, and it's like a nice little community, and it's lovely to see the children just really enjoying themselves, and of course we all have a cup of tea. We just drink tea all weekend and biscuits.
No alcohol, obviously.
No alcohol, no.
Okay, and Sandra, your son Cameron's racing, of course, in the championship as well, but you become Jake's surrogate mum almost when the racing's on because Jill can't watch. How does that work?
Well, like she says, she cannot watch. She stands behind a friend and she's asking me for running commentary, and that's what I have to do for her. And I scream and shout over the fence at my surrogate son.
It really is a family weekend out of the Fab Racing Series. Let's have a look at the virtual map of Whilton Mill. You go through the start line, the left-hander there is Oblivion, right-hander Crook, the little kink there is Fine Lady Up, Manuel's Bank into Christmas Corner. This is Inkerman's, Ashby, the left-hander here, Parker, down to Chapman, brings you out onto the inside straight, and then we've got the boot. You can see why it's the boot, the ankle, the toe, and then the heel, out of the heel, down the start-finish straight to complete the lap. Sitting alongside me, the soon-to-become world-famous racing commentator, Jake Sanson. Jake, over to you for the grid positions.
Well, with Tom Alexander and Franco Bourne on the front row of the grid, from Pinson, Clark, Payne and Behal, the top 6, you could throw a blanket over in terms of pace. Anybody in the top 6 of the grid with a chance to win this one. And it's very competitive, Mini GP 70. But don't forget, Franco Bourne won all 3 races at Rowra early in the year. He's struggled since then, but he's a good shout. Jake Clark, row 2, watch him off the grid. He can be like lightning when he gets it to perfection. So let's see what happens from the front row of the grid. Alexander gets a good getaway. Look at Jake Clark come through from the second row, straight up into second position through the left flick. And round 2, the second corner, up to Christmas they go. It's Alexander from Clark. Bourne slots into third position in front of Elliot Pinson and Addy Behal.
Up into Christmas Corner for the first time. It's a cracking start by Tom Alexander and Jake Clark as well. Got a ballistic start, did Clark, up from 4th on the grid to P2. You might wonder why they are in the reverse positions as they might be. The poleman typically here, particularly in four-wheel motorsport, in karting, is on the inside row. But in the bikes, they have the pole position on the outside. And it looks like Tom Alexander has already pulled sort of 10 to 12 kart lengths. His pole time nearly 3/4 of a second faster than anybody else. And he looks on it, Jake.
Absolutely. In the dry, this man is pretty much invincible over one lap. Whether he can keep that up over the course of an entire race, that's going to be something else to determine. Now we've got Pinson starting to attack third place Franco Bourne going into the second lap. But Bourne is trying to drop him now and make a move on Jake Clark, championship leader, up the inside into Christmas. He thinks better of it, but Pinson is right there in fourth position, so he needs to get on with it if he's going to make the move to second position. Tight on the inside line, down towards the hairpin. We didn't have this section of the circuit for the first round of the championship that was here earlier in the year, but this man won 3 times out of 3 at Rowra for the third round of the championship. It's all about the threes for Franco Bourne this season. Can he go higher than third place here? Because at the moment, he's sat in what is effectively the bronze medal position, as it were. Jake Clark in second place, championship leader, comfortable. But look, 2.91 seconds is the gap already, and this is the second lap of the race. He needs to get past Jake Clark quickly here, does Franco Bourne. Otherwise, he's got no chance of catching up with the leader.
And on the orange bike, Elliot Pinson looks very racy as well as they come through Oblivion. The right-hander there is Crook. The little kink in the track is Fine Lady right there. Out onto Manuel's Bank, the straight up into Christmas corner. And Bourne's got Clark up the inside into Christmas. Classic overtaking opportunity through the right-hander now at Inkermans. They come down the straight into the right-hander here at Ashby. Right-handed. Bourne takes the wide line there over the concrete. Left-handed there is Parker. Down to Chapman here, the hairpin. The orange bike, easy to spot there, is Elliot Pinson, isn't it? And behind Elliot, Addy Behal looking racy as well. Elliot Pinson races both the Mini GP70 and the Mini Moto Pro class as well.
Well, look at the gap that Franco Bourne has managed to get on Jake Clark already, having got through into second position. I'd estimate that's about 3/4 of a second already in one lap. So clearly he was being held up there by the championship leader. But look, Alexander is already in a different league out in front as Pinson now threatens Clark on the inside at Christmas. He's a little bit too far back. Jake Clark leading the championship at this point by 40 points. That's a big margin coming into this stage of the season. So it's up to the likes of Alexander and co to close up on him. But this is exactly what Alexander needs to be doing to reel in that gap. Look at the advantage he's got at this stage.
You would think that 40-point championship lead is, well, pretty insurmountable as we are over the halfway stage in the championship. But if you don't finish in these races, you don't score any points. There's 25 points for a win on offer. And if you don't score, it's very easy for 40 points to be recovered. They go down across the stripe one more time. Pinson looking around the outside of Clark at turn 1 and gets it done. What a terrific move.
That is
and
stunning.
Up to second place is, or third place rather, is Elliot Pinson. Later in the race, it's still Alexander out front from Bourne. Pinson through to third, then Clark and Behal. A little bit of a gap back to Brandon Paynes. We follow them on the drone camera.
Absolutely astonishing move from Elliot Pinson, but out in front, Tom Alexander gives a little bit of a wave to the pits. Last lap, this race is mine. Fastest lap, 52.5, and it's now the battle for second position going into the last lap. Franco Bourne has got Elliot Pinson right on his tail here, and I have a feeling that Pinson might not be satisfied with third place. He may try that spectacular move that he pulled on Jake Clark earlier to move into second position, but this man out in front, Tom Alexander, absolutely flawless.
Celebrating early, gotta be careful, Tom.
That's true. Look what happened to Nigel Mansell in Canada 91 in Formula 1. You celebrate too early and the car died on him. You don't want to do that in biking. He's already... Oh, hang on, mate. Don't cheer too early.
Careful.
Pride comes before a fall, as they say, but this time there isn't going to be a fall. Alexander, he's having a real victory lap here, but out of the final turn, he has been the masterclass rider of the day, and he is delighted with that. Great victory. Now let's look back to second place. Who's going to get this? Bourne just pipping Pinson over the line. That really couldn't been any closer out of the turn if you tried. And Jake Clark is under some pressure on the last lap. Well, he's down to fifth. Addy Behal's got him on the last lap. So Behal fourth, Jake Clark championship leader, down in fifth. Second race of the weekend was also won by Tom Alexander, with Pinson picking up the third. But Alexander is the man on form.
Tom, not often we see a comfortable win in Mini GP 70, 6 seconds. That's about as comfortable as it gets. Just talk us through your weekend so far.
Well, in qualifying 1, I set pole by 7/10 of a second, and then in qualifying 2, I did the same, but I only set it by 1/10 because I had a big off. So, but lucky I managed to do race 1, and I just got a rocket start and started pulling away. So yeah, it's quite easy, to be honest.
Well, a great weekend for Tom Alexander, elevating into second in the points table. Jake Clark still leads, but Alexander has actually helped the championship leader extend his points advantage from 40 to 48, with his former rival Bihal slipping down to third, 50 points adrift.
9 machines lined up for the Mini F1 sidecar race, and it was pretty much business as usual through the first turn for Team Williams. They would take the early running, and of the 15 races prior to the weekend this year, they've won 13, had a second place at round 1 and a DNF last time. In the early running though, Team Loudon on the 64 machine would do a Phil Taylor, a complete 180 before they got it turned round and rejoined. Just one lap further on and the lead for Team Williams was already insurmountable. It was all about who was going to come second, third and fourth. And the big girls on the 25 machine, who have provided the challenge for Team Williams at this stage, looked like it was going to be them for second. They weren't going to have it all their own way though. In third place, the Filth Racing machine, the 222 machine with the green and white nose cone, were going to keep them honest all the way to the end. These bikes not commercially available, remember, you have to build them yourself. Now, coming towards the business end of the race leaders came upon Team Mental on the green machine, and they were going to struggle to get by. Such was their lead though. The traffic in this case, the Team Mental bike, wasn't going to prove a problem. As they came into the boot this time, Team Williams lined them up for a move through the toe of the boot and made that move comfortably and decisively in the end before going on to a very comfortable victory. The battle for 6th, 7th and 8th will be between the 76 machine of Ems Racing, heading this little trio here. 230 Parker Ems would be behind them, and then Team Hosgren. They would in fact finish 6th, 7th and 8th, but it was Team Williams who went on to take a very comfortable victory once more, and indeed would go on to win both races on the Sunday, to win 16 of the 18 races during the season so far. Big Girls would come home in second, Filth in third, and that's how the championship positions look after round 6 here at Whilton Mill. Team Williams, well, it's all over bar the shouting. We'll be back with more from Whilton Mill after this short break.